Hey Troy, are you able to admit all, or do I need to do that?
Oh, I'm good.
It comes up.
Got you
Okay,
back.
perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let me see who we got. We got Tracy. Hey, as you guys are coming in, it'd be just fun to see where we're all from. Let's just say, hey, where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you at right now in the world? I don't know if you knew this, but Troy right here is in Costa Rica. I'm jealous, and I
I'm in
reside
San
in
Diego.
San Diego. Yes, I love San Diego. Reminds me of some amazing fish tacos I had out there in La Jolla. My brother, well, actually, my older brother, lives in the Carlsbad, Encinitas area. Yeah, beautiful area. Where are we all from? Put that in the chat feature there. Let's see where we're all from. We got Las Vegas, Vancouver. I'm on Vancouver. Well, I'm on Vancouver Island in a place called Parksville. Seattle, Cali, Nashville. Leon is in Tacoma, Washington this week. Yeah, Leon. You're always everywhere, hey? Fort Myers, DC, San Antonio, Texas. Yes, love my Texas people. We'll be making a trip down there this winter, hopefully. Florida. Love to get to Florida. I hear good things. All right. Let's get a few more minutes, guys. Just come on here. Let us know where you're from. Oh, Dion just got back from Costa Rica. Where were you in Costa Rica? It's a pretty big place. Troy, where are you? Which part of Costa Rica are you in?
I was
Where
in
are we?
La Fortuna.
Okay. Yeah.
Where is that near you?
North of me on
North
the
of you.
Osa Peninsula.
Mm.
A little greener.
Yes. Ooh, look at that nice smoker behind you there, Troy.
Meat.
Mmm, makes me hungry. Where are the Canadians? Steve says. Right here, buddy. I'm right here for you. I'm also American though. I was born in California. Um, Went to school in a place called San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly. Burning my yeah, Cal Poly represent. It's my place. If Kim Renshaw joins, she's also out there. All right. Give it a few minutes before we begin, guys. We're just, as you come in here, we're just mentioning where we're from. We can see we're all over the map here. Mostly looks like we've got Americans on this call, but, you know, Steve, always so loyal here from Canada. We need to get some more Canadians. And we do have some street textures, I believe, in Australia. But they would be a weird time to be on this call for them, I think. In New Zealand, actually, as well. South Carolina. All right. So let's begin by sharing wins. Wins. Who's got a win? And again, when we're talking about wins, yeah, Adrian, you start the win. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is for all the street texters that have been there for a while. I'm a perfect example of that. So even though I have been with the group, I never miss a mastermind. I get inspiration every week. I decided to go and find myself my favorite lender and get them to sign me up on HomeBot. So I did that last week, got myself 3 emails and 2 addresses and landed 3 clients. Yes.
What? That's amazing. Okay, so
Yeah.
tell us more. Like, how did that happen? What did they get? Where did the conversations begin? How did this all play out?
Well, I'm like Linnea. If I get them on the phone, they will not go far. They'll stick with me. So I basically, put them in the system, and then did a quick CMA just to make sure that the number was on point. That was a Leon Harper inspiration. He said you could tweak it. And then I just called these people up. They were like, "Who are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm so and so. Check your email. You got this thing. And can you tell me a little bit about the property? Can we set up an appointment?" And we did. And so I have 3 listings.
Wow. Okay, so I think that's a good place to start.
Is
How
this
did
sir?
oh, we got Got someone on here. I
Mike,
don't know if they know Isabel. We're gonna
the
try to
lights
get you
fall
muted there.
desinfected. Ya le eché más. Oh, okay. The other day when I went to hospital.
Troy, you know how to get Isabel muted there?
He's muted.
Okay, perfect. So I guess the question that I had was overcoming objections on that phone. That's natural, right? We're gonna get that from the beginning. So how do you overcome particularly those objections?
Well, here I had 3 clients that had decided that they were ready to sell. No, but they hadn't been in contact with an agent. They really wanted to know what the property was worth. All these 3 properties are at least 30 years old. So it was important to find out a little bit more about them to be able to pinpoint a number. So you're talking people that bought properties, at 100 grand and they're now worth over 800,000. So I didn't have really, the only objection was, who are you, when I initially contacted them. I do think that one of the key things that I've learned coming to the mastermind is timing. It's like, get on the horn as soon as you can, let them know who you are, that you're available, get additional information about what their intentions are.
I'm just
In
curious.
one of the cases, is somebody had just bought 2 years ago and they just want to know what their home is worth now, which is fine. Sooner or later they will sell. But in these cases, except for, wanting to know a little bit more about me, I really didn't have any objections.
Awesome. And what do you usually hear? I was just curious. Like, that's the first defense mechanism that comes up, right?
No, I only had a gentleman that sent me, there was an address only, but I'm very resourceful. So I found his phone number and I called him and he said, I said, you just bought your property in 2018. Are you looking to unload? And he said, no. I'm just curious to see how my property is appreciated. And I said, I'm going to put you on this system and you can go there every month if you want to, until you're red in the face or you're ready to sell. But that was just a just curious person. But the other sellers were like ready to go. So it wasn't really complicated. As long as you do have a conversation about what goes into a value, what the market looks like, how is it performing. It's not just, I want to list your home. There's a whole conversation that needs to take place to establish trust. And then I use BombBomb to send them a video of my face so they know who I am. They get a little better sense of, thank you for the conversation that we had over the phone. I'm ready to see you on so-and-so date. It was, very straightforward. I was surprised, I gotta tell you.
Wow. Gabriel, you got your hand raised.
Yeah, Adrian, I have a question. Can you walk us through your process leading up to the appointment? Because I'm a firm believer in pre-qualifying properly will give you that result that you're experiencing, like where it's not a hassle, it's not some fight. You walk in, you do your presentation, you get the listing. But I think it has a lot to do with what happens before. So can you kind of step us through that?
Absolutely. For starters, you tell them who you are, because you're out the get-go, some name out of nowhere that's suddenly contacting them as a result of them answering an ad. So you remind them what they did. You tell them a little bit about yourself. You tell them what you know about the area their property is located in. And then you go over the listing process. I would like to know what your intentions are. Why are you looking into selling? What's the condition of your property? If you had to walk me through it, what are key elements that I should know about before I go there? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have, is it a property that has tenancy or not? Which in one case it does, et cetera, et cetera. So I have a list of questions that I go through to pre-qualify, and to also, more than pre-qualify, is just establish a level of comfort.
How many questions is
and
in
then
your
you talk
questionnaire?
about the market, because at the end of the day, in the last few days, there's been this boo, big brouhaha, inflation and interest rates and all this other thing. So you talk a little bit about the market, what's happening in the market, can they foresee if their property goes on the market, since things in certain areas have cooled down, which means you no longer have 20 offers. You might have 2, and it might sit on the market 2 or 3 weeks instead of 2 days. So
How many
I walked them
questions are in
also
your
through that
questionnaire?
process.
Go ahead and say that again, Gabriel.
How many questions are in that questionnaire, that series of questions that you ask them approximately?
About 20.
Mhm. Okay, good.
And then you also, another key thing that I like to understand is if the person is a numbers person or if the person is a visual person. Because if they're visual, once I present myself in person, my listing presentation will talk more about the marketing aspect, the photography, et cetera, et cetera. If the person is really into a numbers person, then I show up with my spreadsheets, market stats, et cetera. So that's part of not only establishing a level of comfort, but also knowing which way should I go once I'm in there in person.
So it's presentation, preparing, asking great questions, knowing personality styles, going in there and performing the presentation, skillfully, right? And that should naturally end in a signed contract.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
Wow. How powerful was that to begin the mastermind? I think this is a perfect segue into people asking questions about this process or where you're maybe getting hung up yourself. I know there's 62 of you on here, so you got to have some things going up in your head. Come on.
I got one I'll share. And I kind of laughed. This ties into something I seen, and this is a reminder to the group to always just go per use through the StreetText Insider group. I seen we have someone that's been in the group not that long that was going through some things that have been in there for like a while, commenting and asking questions. And I want to commend them on that because this is how you make it's not even a leap of faith. This is how you make leaps and bounds to get ahead in something without going through all the trials, tribulations. You don't experience the failures, you experience the success through other failures, and we grow stronger from that. So I was laughing to myself like, yeah, I like that, because they're looking at postcards we've sent out, asking questions, all that, and things from that far ago, that long ago, what we were doing a year or two ago, we've evolved to something else by now, and that helps a lot. But one of the things I was going to say, when we get someone in StreetText that comes in, I always say, I don't let go until, I hate to say like this, you're almost putting shovel dirt on them in the ground before I let you go. I don't care if you tell me you're selling your house, sold whatever, I'll go ahead and I might change over you sold your house, but I'll keep you in the database. So I've had a client that came in there probably about 8 months ago. I got to look them up, but I got an email last night about 10:30, and it said, hello, Leon, given the significant increase in value between unheated space and heated space, I'm looking at adding a heating system to 1,200 square foot room that contains an in-ground pool. If you have any knowledge or experience or association with a successful conversion, please contact me. We haven't listed our home yet, and we'll lean heavily toward whomever helps us get the most money for our property. Thanks. Now, what was funny about this is when I talked to the guy, I called him up, I'm doing my due diligence, I'm all over this. He right off the bat, oh, I've got a realtor that, yeah, we're going to list with, and this and that and all that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay, no worries. And someone in the group a while back had said about how they're giving something at, free of charge, no additional value, something you provide for them. And I responded back, good evening. I said, my first thought / question was to ask if you had explored into using an LG or Samsung type of wall heater / air conditioner type of unit. The ductless are easy to install, very efficient. This seems to be more in line for that type of area. I go, here's a link for an example. And I sent the link, said, have a good evening, and I'll follow up with you. So this is a guy that went from, oh yeah, I've got a realtor, don't worry, this and that, to now they came back to me because I've kept things going out to them. And I know, like in Canada, you don't have HomeBot, but I say, don't use that to talk yourself out of something. Use it, if nothing else, to talk yourself into something. Follow up is still follow up. And there's still ways, whether you're sending out a monthly or quarterly update market report, asking for something that gets it done. And like I say, this guy out of Sky Blue yonder, you're always mining for gold, and you never know what vein of quartz you're going to pop it in. So seeing stuff like that come back, we say it's in the follow-up. I'll be calling him up today, and I've got myself set where, because I use BombBomb, I can track the open. So I'm waiting to give them a chance to open this before I follow up. But I always say, what good is getting new leads if you're not working the old ones? And that's a prime example of someone coming back to the table that came to me. I didn't go to them. So, just a reminder, you guys have leads. Work what you got. Don't chase more.
I agree with you, Leon. I did, I do it a downsizing ad, and I haven't gotten any formal clients out of it, but my contact with them has been positive, and I've had the opportunity. I did design and construction for 25 years, where I can coach these people as to, these are some resources that you can use if you want to downsize, where to store, how to declutter, et cetera, and I'm sort of trying to build that confidence to when they're ready to go, I'll be the go-to person just because I've been touching them on a continuous basis.
Yeah, and the words know when to ask. That first gate out, even if they say they're selling immediately, I say, well, I know you mentioned you're selling sometime down the road, but what's your time frame? I'm not asking for the deal. I want to get, like they say, the conversation going first in order to establish the relationship. Because, total stranger walking in your house, not everybody's open to that. So, establish yourself as that go-to person or the one of value or giving what they want, and take a minute to see what they're actually asking. Deliver on what they want, not what they don't. That's the problem a lot of times. Buyers say, oh, they showed me everything but what I wanted. Sellers, or they did this, that. But, the message that goes back, it's, I hate to say it's a real simple process, but it's sender, message, receiver, feedback. You're not going to get feedback if you're not sending the right message. So sometimes we're so smart, we outsmart ourselves. Simplify what we do. Look and see what they want. The simpler you keep it getting to them, the less work you create for yourself.
I just want to quickly add to that too, and be considerate of the language that you use. People aren't looking to be sold. I think exactly like this conversation is going is bang on. Nobody wants to be sold. They want to be spoken to like the people that they are, from a real person. So I never use the, hey, are you looking to buy or sell? Right? If they're renting and they're talking to me, my assumption is they're looking to buy. They have nothing to sell. So I want to know, do you rent or do you own? That's to me a question I want to know, so I can figure out where they are, where they're sitting, and what their next activity might be. Right? If they own a home, in all likelihood, they're going to be selling and then also buying, right? So for me, I like to ask those questions. Same thing. I also don't personally like to ask as much, tell me the specifics of your home right out of the gate. For me, I always like to ask, what's your favorite feature of your home? If you could change any one thing about your current property, what would that be? Because it's the same thing as saying, why are you looking to sell your home? Right? But without using the selling terminology, I think it just, again, being a real person, I'm here to help you. And again, being very considerate of the words that I'm using and how I'm using them. You're just trying to, again, exactly like Adrian was mentioning as well, you're just trying to connect with people and be there for them. And the people that are coming through your funnels today, are they ready to sell tomorrow? I would say no, most likely not. Are they ready to sell tomorrow, next week, next month? Who knows? You're going to find a whole handful of individuals, some who are more ready than others. A lot of these individuals, we're talking 18 months away. That's fine. Just be there, have a reasonable conversation with them as a real person, and then they're going to remember you as you continue to reach back to them. So again, just be very considerate with the words that you're using and how you're choosing your terminology, and try to avoid the hardline sales tactics and terminology. But that would be something that I would recommend.
I would also say, add to that, I ask my clients, my potential clients, what attracted you to buy this property in the first place? And so I use that in my marketing material. I walk the property with the homeowner that wants to list, and I ask them to sell it to me. And I use what they tell me in my marketing material. So, it sort of makes them happy that you're taking in consideration they as individuals and their motivations.
And that's bang on, and that's exactly the same thing, right? And again, when I ask people, what's your favorite feature of your home currently? And whatever it is they tell me, well, that's the sales feature. That's, oh, we're going to find another family who's going to enjoy that feature. We have somebody here that we work with who, when they went to sell their home, they didn't necessarily take the highest priced offer. They took an offer because they wanted to make sure that their garden was going to be tended to, because they've spent so much time in this garden. They wanted to make sure that the people coming in were going to appreciate that. you know? So there's so many different reasons why we ask certain questions. But again, that's so important to talk to people and use psychology to your advantage. Right? Don't just to say, hey, tell me all the stats and whatever about your home. No, how does your home make you feel? Of course, don't say it quite that way because it comes off super cheesy. But you know, you're asking that basic question of what is your favorite feature of this home? Oh, it's your wood burning fireplace. Well, fantastic. Wood burning fireplaces are something that are white buffalo. You can't find those very much anymore, and that's absolutely something that a lot of young families are going to be looking for. So let's find a young family who's going to appreciate that, and it's going to give them as much enjoyment as it's given you all these years. Again, connect with these people emotionally, and they won't forget that.
Richard, you have your hand up.
Yeah, great stuff this morning, everybody. Just wanted to touch base. Like, I was in a role play session this morning, and we work on stuff just like this with other people some of them are part of this group. And what it does for me is when I'm actually, don't practice on your actual StreetText leads or any leads that you have, because you're going to burn through them. And I always thought, I'm just like, I'm going to do it now because I'm trying to fight the fear of picking up that 500-pound phone and make those calls to the leads that reached out to me for the money I spent on the leads, and like Leon always says, work the leads you have, because, what did you pay for them for, instead of trying to get new ones. So that being said, it's like when we get together in these meetings, you can bring up any kind of role play you want to do. If you want to try a buyer script, a seller script, whatever script you like, or any objections that you're hearing over and over, that's what I'll bring into the group. Like, today we went over people that are afraid of interest rates rising and the economy heading into a recession. So how do you handle that? For a guy like me, I get into the weeds on stuff like that, but he kept it simple and just brought him back. Like, you would bring the seller back to why they want to sell, which you guys touched today. What do you like about the house? What would you change about your house? If you could keep touching on those buttons and build a relationship, you're not the only person that they're talking to. If they clicked on your Facebook ad, they clicked on so many other people's ads. So build the relationship, and then build the relationship some more. So that's what I've been doing. The role play is pretty awesome. Dee is on there sometimes with me. And sometimes we meet in this private room that's set up online that we can do just one-on-one. Run through the script real quick, boom, then we're done. If you don't practice, you're not going to get better. And I like really didn't want to practice. I felt really self-conscious and like, I don't want other agents to know how unqualified I am to do this, but it's a judge-free zone. We say it every time when we go in there, and these other agents are kicking ass as far as telling me what the blind spots are, what I'm missing, what am I saying? Because what you say is so important, and what you don't say is also important, and I've been able to trim down I just thought I could get by on winging it, just like, yeah, I'll connect. And then I got the deal. That's not how it works. You got to know what to say. You got to have a plan, and you got to have the confidence to do so. So over the last 3 months, it's been really helpful for me. So I want to welcome anybody who wants to join. Just hit up Gabriel. He's here in the group today. And I would love to work with more people. So thanks.
Wow, awesome. Yeah, if you don't mind, show or Gabriel, put that link in the chat feature for anybody that's interested in a role play session. I think everybody should at least partake in it one time. Awesome.
I agree with that. It's even if you did join just one time, it'll give you a really good measuring stick of where you are on a scale from 1 to 10 in your presentation, your selling, your objection handling, your like today, I displayed thinking out of the box, right? Like not sometimes, like when you are meeting with people, they are expecting a professional from an industry that's very complex. So when you leave their house, they should be thinking, wow, that is a professional right there. That's a realtor, right? A real realtor right there. You don't be afraid to flex on people confidently, not arrogantly, but show people, that you are super good at what you do and get it done.
Love it. Keep it going, guys. What do you got? What do you got? Share. This is your time. Ask questions. I mean, there's some amazing conversations that we've had already in the first 30 minutes of this mastermind. It all started with Adrian. And yeah, this is, if anyone has questions for this process, let us know. Because there's so many ways to dissect the lead from top to bottom. I mean, you can look at Adrian, and she actually just grabbed one of those into an address from an address only. Maryam, you're unmuted. Go for it.
Hi, I just wanted to say something. 2 weeks ago, I got two listings from StreetText. One was a new lead from a downsizer, and the other was an older list from what your home is worth. Both, the interesting point for both of these was when I went there, both had offers from Open Door. So they basically trying to do business with Open Door. But before they start their business with Open Door, they click on my ad. So the second one, which was from how much your home is worth, she came to my funnel like back in January, but she never answered my question, my calls. But I could see that she clicked on HomeBot reports and she clicks on my emails. So last 2 weeks ago, when I see that I got that report from HomeBot that she's been looking at the HomeBot reports, I called her and I just asked her what's up, and she said, "Well, I have this offer from Open Door that I'm going to sell my house to," and yada yada yada, and then the rest of the conversation. So I asked for a meeting from her, and then she accepted that. And when I got there, she said, "Well, you're offering me this much, but Open Door is offering me that much." The point is that the people who are clicking on our ad, well, there are so many iBuyers out there, and they're trying to get your business. So I think the whole reason that I was able to get those two listings out of Open Door's hands is because I just did a very, very strong follow-up with them. And just every time that you are dealing with the iBuyers like Open Door, OfferPad, Homies, because those people, those companies go and they offer very big amounts, but they don't tell them how much they can net. So the reason that I was able to win those listings is first follow-up, and the second, I went there and I said, "Well, I cannot give you $50,000 over the real value, but I can make sure that you net more money that you can net from with Open Door." So just be careful. Don't let your leads go away, because there's so many hungry iBuyers out there. That's
Awesome.
why I needed to share.
Great share, Maryam. That's amazing. Amazing follow-up, too. And John, I know you're here. John, you wrote a piece about Maryam. Why don't you really quickly highlight her story from top to bottom, just so they know and get a little bit of context?
Oh, yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, Maryam actually moved to the States. Was it 2014? 2014, I believe. And so your background was in like sales and social media, and you worked 4 years in sales, and then you had your son, and then 2 years later, Maryam decided that she wanted to a career that gave her the flexibility of raising her son while also, you know, having a profession, and so found real estate. And what's incredible about Maryam is for the first 8 months of being in real estate, you didn't close a single transaction, right? Yeah, 8 months. That's a long time, right? That's a long time. But within, you got your first listing from a trial of StreetText, which is incredible. It didn't happen right away, but you followed up. And I just love your hunger and your tenacity, because this year you were awarded as one of the top agents to brokerage. So I just think, like, what an incredible story. That's 2 years. Going from no listings or no deals for 8 months, and then to being one of the top agents. I just love that it's good. So you do have a huge amount of drive and hunger, and you're definitely going after the follow-up, which is key, because you're constantly surprising me as what's possible with how you are following up. So I think, like, if anyone wants to pick Maryam's brain on what she's doing with her follow-up, I think this is a great opportunity.
100%. And Maryam, we are getting a little bit of background reverb noise when you're unmuted. So if you have, I don't know.
I'm in a room. I don't know. Hold on a second. Maybe I'm using this. Hold on.
And while you're fixing that, Stacy, I saw your
It's
hand raised up.
better. Is
Yes,
it better?
that's better.
Okay, it's because of my headphones that you're getting that background noise. So I do whatever other people do. I mean, but I would say the very, very first thing that I do is I pick up the phone. I'm not afraid of phone, and I'm not afraid of rejection. So the very first thing that I do, either they are address only or they are just email and with their home with their address. I find their phone number from I believe it's through peoplesearch.com, and I call them. So sometimes they say no, they're not interested. Sometimes they say yes, they're interested, or sometimes they don't answer. But that's the very, very first thing that I do. And then I put them on my follow-up system.
That's awesome. So Stacy, did you have a question for Maryam? No. What about you, DJ? Was that your question for Maryam?
No, I have a general question.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Okay, so I attended the Smart Alto webinar that day. That was great. So that, it made me think that those kind of texts can actually help you, but I don't really know if it really does, or if I just want to understand if anybody on the group over here is using some kind of a service like a texting service, a follow-up service, whether it's Smart Alto or anything else, and how is it helping you? And is it making a difference in your prospecting, or is it helping you book appointments?
On my end, I've got my CRM where it's a mixture of, and like last year, I dialed back everything. And sometimes, you don't just, I guess I should say it like this. We are in a business, and most of us, and including myself at one point, have you forget that and get away from it. So you got to sit down and do an honest assessment of where you're at. I went back and I undid a whole lot of stuff. If I had 2 of them or more, it's gone. Got it down to 1, because at the point you have so much going out, you can't keep track of it, but you're also overwhelming the people on the other end you're trying to get to, which has a tendency to drive them away. They look like, oh, it's that DJ guy again, ignore it. So what you do is be effective in what you're sending out. You're going to have generic texts and, emails and all that, which, like I said, I don't move stuff out of Julie until they become actively engaged, because what that did automatically for me was it saved me a bunch of other emails and texts and things going out that kind of what I call stepping on my own feet. So you hear people encourage you to go into StreetText and just update your platform in there, because you can take other emails and whatever and work it like that. But the other thing that I started doing StreetText was, because the text messaging stops, when a person turns around and replies to Julie, now I move them into just, I have a texting thing only to go out, but I make sure it's relevant. And then, like I said, you can't, I always say set it and forget it. Set it and forget it means to me, it's in place, it's running, it's going out to people. But you can't forget it, because you need to follow up on what you're sending out. If I set a new program going out to somebody, I add myself to the campaigns, because there's nothing worse than somebody calls you up going, hey, Leon, I'm calling you about this. And you're like, huh? I know what's going out. I have it. And if nothing else, while you're talking to them, I laugh because I can pull up an email or text on my phone and see just what it was they were saying I sent out. When you show up at a listing appointment, you have to be prepared for that appointment. When they call you on the phone, you have to be prepared for what they're going to say. And, it doesn't bother me to tell somebody, do me a favor, hold on one sec. Let me just, I was in the middle of something, let me turn my attention to you. I'm buying myself time to pull up what it is that they're talking about so that I can look at it and be on speed. And then to take that to the beginning of something, don't just go paste a whole bunch of emails and texts and not tweak them to you to know what's being said, what's going out. You got to know your product. You got to know what you're sending out. So when I have something going out, I know what I sent out. I know what I'm saying. And when I'm getting that phone call for them hitting me up or I'm following back, worst case scenario, if I have to, I'll say, hey, do me a favor. I'm in traffic. Give me 5 minutes. I'll call you back. I'm buying me time to to look and see what it was. We can wing it sometimes, but I'm not going to wing myself out of a deal because I didn't take a minute to get what they were asking for or pull up what I sent them so I know what I'm talking about. So as far as, like I said, start real simple, minimize, start with Julie, go in there, get your text and all that going. When Julie shuts down on that text reply, you need to have a different game for your texts that are going out and know what they are. And like I said, I'm not here to blast you 50 texts a month. I break it down, I keep it simple. And then on top of that, I'll still, texting Tuesday. I can go in here and look and see who's been active, who hasn't been. And I'm going to send, if I send you a text, it's going to be relevant to what you were doing, not just a generic to the 3,000 people in my database. So just, honestly, keep it simple, dial back, make sure you're not being redundant, make sure you're not overloading, and make sure you're delivering the message you're trying to get out and you know your message.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you, Leon. I think my question is also around is anybody using Smart Alto or something like Smart Alto? Because from my understanding, I did a demo with them and I spoke to Wayne Anderson, who's one of the co-founders. So they work on, say, 100 leads, new leads a month, and they're complementing. It came across as they're complementing your prospecting efforts. And it's not taking away from your responsibility of following up with your leads. So is anybody using Smart Alto here? Simple question.
Hey, Eric, unmute yourself. You are.
Yeah, I've been using Smart Alto for a few years now.
Yeah. And Eric, what's your feedback or your thoughts about it?
The platform itself is fine. The biggest change that I've noticed is fewer people are responding to the text now. So when it began, there were more people responding, but as we get more and more junk text, now they're not responding as much.
Okay, so roughly you'd say if they're following up on 100 leads a month for you, how many appointments would they be setting up for you on an average in a month?
Now?
Yeah.
One. It used to be 7 to 8.
Okay.
And I think, DJ, you're going to have to go and get a bigger sample size, right? It's for Eric, it's one way. For Josh Shonley, it's another. Like,
right.
You need to get a better representation.
Right.
But like anything, you need to start with it for 90 days and put together a plan to see it works. Like, it's good to get feedback, but, just like StreetText, like everybody knows, if you do StreetText for a month, most likely you're not going to be continuing if that's your evaluation. But you come to these masterminds, you start nurturing these leads, you start putting together the systems and the integrations and all the things that people are all talking about, and then you start seeing the fruit, right? And it's no different than anything. It takes time, especially the top of funnel. The top of funnel is about conversations. The top of funnel is about nurture. The top of funnel is about education and value and just being there and learning, just like we learned this morning with Gabrielle, with Adrian, what to say, how to say it, right? It's not a magic, pill.
Yeah, and they have a 1-year commitment.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably something that I'd want to look into for anybody. Right. Like ISAs, we all living in a day and age where people respond via text, right? But there's nothing perfect out there. You just got to make it your own.
Right.
Can I add something, Marcus?
Yeah.
I feel like more people need to lead the way themselves by calling, texting, emailing, whatever, direct contact, and letting the technology follow, right? So what I see a lot is everyone does it the other way around. They want the technology to lead the way, and then they want to jump in when somebody responds to a robot. So what I'm saying is, like, lead the way, right? You get a lead, call, text, email, knock the door, whatever. Keep trying, try a few times. Okay, now let technology take over. And when they respond, then you jump in, right?
I agree with Gabriel. I don't think I would have landed the business that I did if I hadn't picked up the phone and spoken directly to these people. Even though when I text, I put, I am a real person. So just so you know that the text comes from me, I still feel that direct contact is better. And if people don't answer the phone, I call again. And if they don't answer a second time, I call again, and then they'll answer because they think it's an emergency. And then you just ask for a couple of minutes. I think that is way better than technology, like Gabriel said. Technology can come later.
Yeah, it simultaneously, right? But lead the way, charge the field by you being in front of that. Because I feel like the more you let technology lead the way, the more people you're losing, because by then people like Adrian call them. And you're just like, yeah, I have 11 leads. Yeah, but they all went with Adrian already because you didn't call or step in or text.
Yeah, and the approach matters too. So like if you're running a 12 tips ad, a home buyer's ad, or a home value ad, or even the downsizing ad, each of those are going to have a different approach. And so if you send a text message to a person who's run the 12 tips ad, you don't want to approach it the same way that you're going to send someone else. You're probably just going to ask something really like simple, which is, hey, did you get the 12 tips? ? And then that becomes your opening statement. With the buyers, you're going to say something different. You're going to say, hey, I did you get the list of properties? And then depending how they respond, you'd say something along the lines like, is there now that you've seen it, would you like to narrow your search? Sometimes people feel a little overwhelmed by that search. And so you can text people in a way that's appropriate for the context. And so that's really important. So if you're working with anybody like Smart Alto, make sure they know what the ad is that you're running so they can dial their communication accordingly so that you can increase your appointment rate. Because if we start with a home buyer script with a home seller ad, that's gonna get very poor results, because they just like, if you've changed up how you're generating your leads and you're using a different call to action because the volume's higher or the number of phone numbers is higher, but the actual follow-up hasn't changed to adjust to it, you're not going to see the outcome that you're looking for. And so that's really critical to make sure that the follow-up matches the ad.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. And the fact that you had Smart Alto on your webinar probably was there for a reason, right? Because you don't bring people on the webinar lightly. So my assumption is that they are effective, and it's unless you think differently. I think Marcus probably had them on. Yeah,
I would reach out to Josh only and just send him a Facebook message to kind of get his feedback a little bit. But again,
Josh, okay,
yeah, Josh only. But market to market, it's going to be unique and different, and who's actually probably texting behind that is going to be unique and different for you too, right? That live person there might be some people there that are doing the Smart Alto follow-up that are just better at creating conversation than others. So although they have scripts, right, I'm sure. So yeah, I would ask as many questions as you possibly can, and do your R&D.
Perfect, thank you.
Stacy, you've been patient. Go ahead and unmute yourself there.
Hey there. So I have a question about the CRM email automation. It's my understanding that a lot of email servers throw us in the trash. I don't know what percentage. And is there any way to not hit the trash? You know what I mean? Like, people don't even see our stuff.
Yeah. So have you checked out your own email auto response?
Well, I'm getting it, but I'm looking for it. But I just didn't know if there's a way for us to not hit the trash, the spam, the junk. You know what I mean? Because
what email provider are you using, Stacey?
What?
Are you using like a Gmail, a Hotmail, Yahoo? What are you using?
Gmail.
Gmail's definitely the best of all of them, but one that you can try, and we'll put the link in the chat section here, but I believe it's mail-tester.com is what I believe it is, and it's a site that you can go and you essentially send them an email through your system, and it kind of goes through and it looks through your typical email and any links and things like that. The more links that you have in your email can also trigger spam. It looks spammy. So if you've got a bunch of links and stuff, that can also do it. So I like to scrub all that down. And then what I would do is send your normal, like if you do send lots of links and everything, send that normally through that mail-tester site. It'll give you a score. I believe it's 1 to 10 as to the health of your email. And then I'd probably do it again after I strip all the stuff out of it and see what you get. The other thing to consider is Believe it or not, email addresses almost act in a way like your credit score. So if you've had a bad run of luck, we'll call it, where a lot of people were seeing your emails and putting it to spam or doing something, that's telling email providers, hey, this one's untrustworthy for lack of a better word. And if you've had the same email address, let's say for 20 years, and you've had a lot of negativity, more so than positive, interactions, that can lower your credit score, so to speak, which will cause more of your email to go into spam. There's so many different weird things that happen with that, but I would start with that mail-tester. Looks like Troy put something in as well, to read up, but oh yeah, I don't have my camera on. There we go. Hey, it's me. Here we go. I'm always working in the background, and I find it's rude when other people are talking and I'm hammering away on my keyboard. So I just turn my camera off for that reason. I apologize. Leon's gonna call me out for that, I'm sure. But yeah, that would be my recommendation. Is I'll put the link in for that. Go check that out and try to send it a few emails, and see what happens. Also, if you're worried about that, I would send a mass email to all my friends and families and then text them and say, hey, make sure you open this email and, read everything through it. And you're just, again, whether or not that's going to help, I'm not sure. But again, I know for a fact, if a lot of emails are being spammed, your emails will kind of flow that direction more often.
Okay, so I have another question. So the CRM email automation, is that coming from our own email address, or doesn't that go through the system?
It goes through the system, but it's your email address that's being pulled in and sent through. So we're building the automations and everything, but it's still coming through your destination, so to speak. So if there's an issue in your email address, then regardless of who's created the email, there's still going to be issues there. And then I'd also, not that you want to change, obviously in real estate, one of the worst things you can do, and this is why I never used my brokerage supplied email addresses, was I didn't want to create a database of individuals who knew how to reach me and then switch my email address. It's in business, that's not wise, but I would also at the same time try creating a new email address, send that through the mail-tester as a brand new account, and see if you're getting a better score, just as a test, if nothing else.
My other question on this is the unsubscribe word in the email. I understand that gets filtered out, like the servers, they just know to filter that. Like if it has an unsubscribe, but we're required to have it. Is there any way around that? Like, can we define it like, hey, if you don't want this, please let me know, that type of thing, instead of saying unsubscribe?
You could probably reword that link, I would assume. This might be a better question. I don't know if Jonathan wants to answer that one. He might know a bit more than me. You definitely need to have that in there to be compliant, as far as my understanding is. Without having a link in there to automatically unsubscribe, I just don't think I don't know if we're allowed to do that anymore. We used to do that a long time ago, but now we absolutely have to have that in there. So again, rewording that link, instead of it saying unsubscribe, possibly that could be something for us to look into, certainly. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't personally have a better answer for that one, unless somebody else here knows more than me.
I've seen email preferences. That seems to be one that can be used. But yeah, the key is that unsubscribe is required by law, so it's included. But the thing is if the content of the email is good, nobody's going to unsubscribe. And so you should be okay.
But just to get through the filters on the servers, you know what I'm saying? Because they filter out the unsubscribe.
Well, no. So what they do is they like unsubscribe, because that means the choice is in the person who's receiving the email. But what they do is they look for, they have like certain ways that they will analyze your email. So if there's too many links, if there's a link that's too soon, like if it's like a link within the first few words, the subject line, the words used in the subject line, all those things go through their filters and they try to recognize it. And then the other thing is that what Logan was saying is your domain name, your IP that you're sending it from, all those things matter. And they also want to make sure that the email's set up correctly. And this is something that Leon's shared in the Insider group before. Having somebody audit your email, you can hire them from like Fiverr or one of those places. And for like just a few dollars, they'll go through and just make sure that the settings are correct, so that you don't accidentally have like a non-verified email address that you're sending from.
Hey, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Just on that note, my email provider, we have a custom Gmail. They had put in settings so that people couldn't spoof your email. And so that started knocking out my StreetText, my BombBomb, and my CRM. And so he had to go back in and set very specific settings for that. So if you're finding that, that might be that your provider is doing something more secure as well. So I had to go through that. It was a little sad weekend there for a minute.
Don.
Okay, so I have a question. In the first email, the automated email that goes out, it has the person's address, and then after the street address, it says USA. So to me, that's very, automated bot-like. So I was trying to figure out a way to take it out. When the lead comes in, I try to get to it real fast so that doesn't go out. But I couldn't figure it out. So now I just took the contact address out totally. So I was wondering if there was a workaround for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's a great question. I mean, what's happening there is we're pulling in whenever they start entering their address on that first screen, they're going to type in 123M and it'll come up with Maple Street, Kelowna, BC, Canada. Like it pulls in the full address. And at that point, that whole address is now one. My understanding is if you take any of that out, it's not that same link anymore. So that whole link is being put in. This would be a question, I guess, for our dev team as to whether or not we're able to have it not specify Canada, US, Australia, New Zealand, whatever it might be, so that that entire link, as it gets pulled in, if I'm in Canada, I know the people I'm speaking to are more than likely also there, right? And same with the US. So that's definitely something for our dev team to investigate and see if there's a way for us to change that up. I mean, that's not something, to be honest with you, I've thought about personally, but these are the reasons for these masterminds and the reason why we always ask you guys, keep us in the loop with what you're feeling and thinking and would like to see changed. If we can make it change, well, darn it, we'll make a change, right? I mean, I don't see the need for us having, country in there. I think having, province in Canada or state, obviously, I think that's important. I don't think that looks spammy, but I do agree with you. I don't think we necessarily need country display. So if there's a way for us to pull it in and omit that portion, I'm sure our dev team will figure it out. And that's a good recommendation. So it's something we can certainly look into.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I believe you may be able to specify the components of the address, because when we get the address, our system automatically will separate that address for you and break it into the components as well. So the one address line is going to have the whole thing, like what Logan's saying is correct. And then what we'll do is we actually try to break it into components so that we can verify and get their zip code, even if they didn't share one. That's why you get a zip code with all of your contacts. We do a few other things to verify the address even exists. And so I believe there may be a way to specify the component.
Well, if I get in there and I catch it and I take out the USA, then it goes out without the USA, because it's something I would never write in my email. Thank you for requesting value on 123 any street, New Jersey, USA. So I was like, oh, I got to take that out. If I catch it, it comes out, it's fine. But what are the odds of me catching it so quickly? And I do want the email to go out within a certain amount of time. So for now, I just took it out. And if there's a workaround in the future, that would be great.
Yeah, I think the whole idea with automations is to make it easier on you, not harder. The last thing we want is you to get an email and go, oh, there's an automated email going out, I better go and fix it before. Right. That's the last thing we want for you. So again, this is not something that me personally or any of us have ever discussed or even necessarily thought about. So there's no reason for us to have tried to fix it, but absolutely what you're saying makes a ton of sense. And as Jonathan was saying, it sounds like there's probably a way for us to fix that. And if you're experiencing that or feel that could improve your, whatever it might be, that's going to work well for everybody else here as well. So it's certainly something for us to do.
I want to say something really positive though about StreetText too. I am so thrilled with StreetText because I had a disaster happen in my database through, I don't want to mention the company name, but it wiped out a lot of my contacts and it wiped out my communication with my contacts. So I have contacts, I have no idea, some of them are a few years old. So anyway, that was devastating to me. But since signing up with StreetText, I feel it's a way to build my database. I mean, I'm getting people's, not phone numbers. A lot of them are giving phone numbers, email. So I'm just so thrilled. I'm in it for the long term. It's great if, one of them turns into a listing right away. I would be thrilled with that. But I'm looking at it as a database builder. I never had a lead source like this that performs like this. So thank you.
And I love that. Thank you so much. Adrian, you had something to say?
Yes, this is a little bit in line with what Don was mentioning and how the address field is coded. You guys put that automatic HomeBot little button. Well, when you click on it, HomeBot, the way they have the address designed is not in line with the way the address appears in StreetText. So you literally have to go in and manually put the address in. So that link isn't working correctly when it comes to importing the address.
No, for me, it does, Adrian. For me, in my HomeBot, it does. Even if it goes from StreetText to my HomeBot, it comes over there fine without the USA, and just comes over fine. So
for me, it didn't. I tried, I'm just started using it. So I thought it was great to have just to click on it and it would pull it over. And then the 3 or 4 cases that I had, it doesn't. So I was just wondering if there's a glitch there.
Let's take a look at that with you, Adrian, because the with HomeBot, we don't send the address directly. We use their defined API.
Okay.
And so they specify the fields and how it's to be handed over. So let's just find out what's going on and make sure that that's working correctly for your account.
Okay, thank you.
And what I do on mine, I actually like the fact it doesn't import right away, because when I go into StreetText and I look at the lead, I go ahead and I look to see who else is on title. I make all my quick notes. I update what I need to in there so it's accurate. I can add phone numbers a lot of times, and then I push it over. And then that way, if I sit there and I need something, I can always copy and paste my notes. But you get people that are renters living in a house, or you get someone who, like they say, you show up at an appointment, you want both the principals or all the principals on there. So when I can look at my notes and I know who it is, I'm saving myself the extra steps later. We're having to log into the MLS or the tax data to find out who else is there or who I'm talking to. So, the notes you make on the front end of that before you push everything over from StreetText is really pretty good, because even if you export your data later by spreadsheet, if you have the fields, your notes can go over as well. So it's quite a database you're doing, and the few extra steps on the front end help you way down the road.
Awesome. Linda, you had a question?
Yes, I would like to know if is it Maryam? Is that how you pronounce it, Maryam? If you could elaborate on how you got the 2 listings to go with a lower valuation that you were giving them over Open Door. You said that you just supplied what they would net. It seemed like they would still net more if they were offered more with Open Door. So could you elaborate on that, your conversation with those folks?
So they cannot, there's no way they can net more, because so the breakdown that I saw with Open Door was, well, they were offering, let's say, for example, the neighborhood was running for $300,000. They said, we offer you $312,000. And then they said, we'll charge you 5.5% commission. We charge you $5,000 closing costs. And they also, they told my client that we charge you like around $10,000 repair. So here's what you come to say. Okay, first of all, we don't charge you anything for repair. And then they told one of my clients that you have only like 10 days to move out. So here's where you can, show your value proposition. I said, well, first of all, we don't charge you anything for repair because I think your house doesn't need any repairs. Besides, what we can do, we can always wait for inspection. See, maybe your house doesn't need $10,000 repair. Maybe your house only needs like $1,000 repair. And what we can do, we can put sold as is. So you pay zero for repair, any kind of repairs. That's one thing. So you're saving them $10,000 here. And I broke down the numbers for the closing costs. I said for the closing costs, you're not paying $5,000. It's only like $2,000. So that's additional 3,000. And then during the process with Open Door or any iBuyers, they come with a lot of hidden charges that they don't disclose at the beginning. They say, oh, this pop up, so we're charging you that much. Oh, this another thing pop up, so we're charging you that much. What I did actually was really helpful. It took me some time, but I went to the MLS. I tried to find most of the recent transaction from Open Door in those two neighborhoods, and I said, watch. They are, and I printed the copies of those MLS reports. And well, you don't know how much they net to the owners, but you can figure it out because like the example was for the second home that I got, and so they had offered like $300,000, and then after 2 months they put the property back on the market for $310,000. So the Open Door or any iBuyers, they're trying to use to take the homeowner's equity. They don't do this for $10,000. You're talking about more than $20,000-$30,000. So with a little math, you can figure out how much they charge, charge the homeowner, and how much they gave them as a net after the sale of their property to the iBuyers. Just go Google their recent transaction in a specific neighborhoods if you're dealing with them, and then you can figure it out.
Thank you. That's good to know. I had no idea. So there's a bunch of hidden charges, and okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that extra information.
Go look in the StreetText Insider group. There's a document posted for iBuyers that I shared with the group. I had to dig into it after experiencing firsthand watching a client lose 23 grand because when they preach no commission, there's a service charge they don't talk about. And to break down what Maryam was saying a little more, they'll come in and go, okay, your house was built in 2000. It's got the original heater. Heaters only last an average of 15 years. So we want that replaced. That's $4,400. Oh, the water tank's the original too. That's $1,100. So what happens is a lot of times sellers feel so trapped because of the time frame or whatever they're looking to move in, they wind up accepting that. So right off the bat, and there is something in StreetText that goes out where people will ask you something about instant buyers, just that, whatever. And so I just send that to them to start the conversation to go, here, I want you to look at this. I'll just do a follow-up call and can explain it better, but I want you to get a real idea of what this no commission will buy your home in 12 days looks like. And I call it scared straight, because by the time they get done, and once again, you're the expert, you're informing them, now you have them at the table with you, listening to what you're saying, understanding. And the other thing that I push hardest on is, well, here's the thing, they're going to give you this amount for your house for what it's worth. But on this current market where we're at, and that's everywhere nationwide, your home is going to overbid. So now instead of taking a hit 20,000 or more in the wrong direction, why would you not want to make 25 or 30,000 more in the other direction? And at the end of the day, it's dollars and cents.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I'll look for that information.
Awesome. Pollyanna, I see your hand up there.
Hi, I just wanted to glean some information about Open Door because I'm on the #1 Open Door team in California as one of my lead sources. And so Open Door is going to leave money on the table in every transaction. So the way you can approach that with someone that's going to list is exactly what everyone is saying, that I can, get you more money. The biggest objection people want to overcome with listing with Open Door is the fact that people don't want anyone in their house. They don't want the circus. They don't want 300 people through. So what I have done, an open door allows me to do things off market. If my client doesn't want the open door offer, I can actually do it off market for them and get them more, on an average, open door is going to leave about 30 grand on the table to take for them. They do not charge any fees. What they do is when they sell it back to the client, they charge corporate to corporate within themselves a 0.25%, but they don't charge the buyer that. However, they're going to leave the money on the table, and that's how you approach the open door iBuyer when you go out with them. I do a lot of open door deals, aside from my Zillow business and my sphere of influence. And you can overcome that objection with just letting them know, like Maryam said, that she'll get them more money. And, the only thing for me, because I'm contracted with Open Door, that I have to tell them that if they take it to the MLS, well, then the Open Door offer goes away. And Open Door charges a straight 5% fee, and it's 2.5% to the buyer's agent.
Wow.
Oh, thank you.
That's a lot of great information. Thanks, Pollyanna. That was amazing. Awesome. Well, we'll end it there, guys. What a great mastermind today. Thank you so much for your participation. Remember, don't get overwhelmed. Pick that one thing that really stood out to you and implement it. And then if there's anything else that you want to take away from this mastermind that you'd like us to elaborate on more, let us know. If anybody is using KV Core, there is a mastermind tomorrow at 11 a.m. So you're welcome to join that. That's 11 a.m. tomorrow, specifically for KV Core users. Don't worry, Follow Up Boss people and anybody else will be doing more for different cases. So, yep. Thanks again, guys. We will see you. Have a wonderful day and make it a great one.